Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Forge College Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because, well, we are entering a really exciting phase of our Practical Solidity Projects course. If you've been following along in our Solidity and Ethereum quests track, you know we've been building up our fundamentals. Well, today is launch day. Think of this explainer as your official welcome to mission control. We're going to learn exactly how to write the automated launch sequence that takes our smart contract rocket and safely deploys it to the Ethereum testnet using Hardhat. Okay, let's dive right into this.
So, here is our flight plan for today's mission. First up, welcome to mission control. Then we'll look at the anatomy of a script, cover the launch workflow, define the provider and signer, spend some time reading the blueprints, and finally wrap up with our debrief and next steps.
Welcome to Mission Control. Let's write that automated launch sequence and get our code onto the blockchain.
Now, as you probably know, in the Web3 world, writing a smart contract, that's really only half the battle. Getting it onto the blockchain reliably every single time is the other half. A Hardhat deployment script is essentially our automated launch sequence. It's a targeted little program that handles compiling our contract, sending the deployment transaction to a specific network, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, persisting the contract's data so we can actually interact with it later. We kind of need a quick mindset pivot here. In our last mission, we were deep in the architectural trenches designing role-based access control on Solana. Right? That was highly theoretical system design work. Today, we are shifting gears to something incredibly concrete and practical, the literal, step-by-step physical mechanics of pushing code to an Ethereum testnet. We are officially moving from the drafting table to the launchpad. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a Script. Because a deployment script is not just a wall of code, it's a meticulously structured system.
Just like a rocket has distinct stages that fire in a specific order, to prevent a catastrophic failure right there on the pad, our script has distinct operational stages. Let's look at what I call the rule of three. Any robust deployment script follows this exact sequence: prepare, act, persist. First up, we prepare. This basically means forcing a compilation to ensure our bytecode and application binary interfaces, our ABIs, are perfectly up to date. Next, we act. We actually create the contract instance and broadcast the deployment transaction out to the network. And finally, we persist. We save the resulting deployed addresses and metadata to our local disk. If you remember prepare, act, persist, honestly, you can master any deployment script.
Section 3. The launch workflow. Let's see exactly how our script consumes your network configurations to push local code out to a live testnet.
So in the previous lesson, you spent time configuring your network entries and your RPC URLs. And you might be wondering, well, how does that configuration actually get used? Our script is the bridge, and to cross that bridge, our script relies on two vital gears turning in perfect unison. The first gear is the provider. Think of the provider as your mission control communication array. It is the network component that is entirely responsible for taking your deployment signals and broadcasting them out to your configured testnet RPC endpoint. Look, without the provider, your code is literally just shouting into the void.
The second interlocking gear here is the signer. If the provider is the communication array, the signer is the launch authorization key. The signer is the entity responsible for digitally signing the transaction. It essentially proves who you are. It pays the necessary gas fees, and it officially authorizes the deployment. You absolutely need both of these working together, the provider to broadcast and the signer to authorize.
Let's look at how these concepts map to your actual project files. Think of this table as your minimalist technical spec sheet. Your compile step usually happens via a simple Hardhat command in your terminal. Your provider and signer configurations, well, they live right inside your hardhat.config.js file. The actual deployment action, where the code executes, lives in your scripts/deploy.js file. And that crucial persistence step we talked about? That saves your addresses and ABIs directly into a dedicated deployments folder right in your project root. The takeaway here is that everything has its designated place.
Section 4. Reading the blueprints. Let's actually look under the hood at the JavaScript wiring carrying out our framework.
Okay, so here are the critical nodes on our engineering schematic. First up, run.compile. This uses the Hardhat Runtime Environment to force a fresh compile. That's our prepare step in action. Then hre.ethers.getSigners reaches in and grabs our launch authorization key from our config. Next, getContractFactory loads up our specific simple storage contract blueprint, and we deploy it. Boom! That's our act step. Then, importantly, we call wait1. We actually tell our script to pause and wait for at least one block confirmation from the network, just to ensure our rocket actually made it safely to orbit. Finally, fs.writeFileContent executes our persist step, writing all that resulting data into a neat little JSON artifact on our hard drive.
Now, as we wire all this up, I have to stop and give you a vital safety warning. Treat environment credentials as ephemeral secrets. Never, ever commit them. Look, hard-coding your private key directly into your deploy.js script, that is literally the Web3 equivalent of writing your ATM PIN on a piece of masking tape and sticking it to the front of your debit card. Please, do yourself a favor and use environment variables.
So the absolutely crucial point here is implementing these best practices. Pull your key from process.env private key. Next, when you persist your artifacts, organize them by chain ID. Seriously, failing to separate your deployments by network ID is basically like parking your car in a massive airport parking lot and forgetting to take a picture of your pillar number. You will never, ever find your contract again when you switch from a local node to Sepolia. It's a nightmare. And finally, always log your transaction hashes and block numbers to the console. That's your permanent paper trail.
Section 5. Debrief and next steps. How do we actually verify our rocket made it to testnet orbit?
The short answer is, we don't just guess. We look for very specific, verifiable signals. These are your absolute proofs of success. 1. You should see a printed transaction hash popping up in your terminal. 2. You should see a mined block number in the transaction receipt, proving that the network accepted it. And 3. You should physically see a saved artifact JSON file sitting right there in your local deployments folder, containing your brand new contract address and ABI. By the way, these 3 things, they are exactly what automated continuous integration, or CI systems, look for to mark a deployment as successful.
So I leave you with this final check to think about. Is your JSON artifact safely secured in your deployments folder? If it is, congratulations, you have officially mastered the Hardhat deployment script. Next time, we're going to take that exact JSON artifact, learn how to manage it, and inject it directly into automated test environments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this Forge College Explainer. To dive deeper into this subject and explore a ton of other incredible Web3 topics, head on over to forge.college. Keep building, and I'll see you in the next mission.